between 2020 and 2025. 40% rise per year, the demand. Now, the good news in that is it means that the European Green Deal is progressing. The not so good news is one country dominates the processing. Out of the 30 critical raw materials today, 10 are mostly sourced from China. So, we have to avoid falling into the same dependency as with oil and gas. We should not replace old dependencies with new ones. So we must make sure that access to these commodities will not be used to blackmail us. We have to diversify the supply and build new ties with reliable, like-minded partners around the globe. For this purpose, for example, I'm traveling in 2 weeks to Canada, like-minded partners with very interesting offers. The power of democracies also depends on building strong foundations with like-minded partners for the economy of tomorrow. My second thought, we must strengthen those who believe, like us, in the value of rules and bring them even closer. I'm thinking, of course, first and foremost about Ukraine. The Kremlin's invasion aimed to pull Ukraine back towards a darker past, but instead we are seeing the brave determination of Ukrainians to continue on their chosen path and even speed up their process of transformation as they rebuild their country. It's amazing to see this effort and this determination and this passion that they show. The new Ukraine, I'm deeply convinced, will have stronger institutions, a modernized judiciary, but also be greener, more digital, and more a resilient economy. To get there, and we're aware of that, Ukraine will need to channel enormous resources for reconstruction, map investment needs, coordinate action. All of this in support of an ambitious reform agenda, so the big tasks ahead of us. Therefore, with Ukraine in the lead, a reconstruction platform can achieve these goals. A platform open to all who care about the future of Ukraine and to advise on the best way forward. We have to be very precise. It's a huge responsibility that we have to tackle. And therefore, to this purpose, Ukraine, together with the European Commission and the German G7 presidency, will co-host an international conference in Berlin on the 25th of October. We will bring together in this conference renowned experts, international organizations, think tanks, academics, but also, and that's very important for me, the private sector and civil society. Civil society, because the young people of Ukraine dream of a better future, rightly so. A prosperous, a fair, a green, a more democratic Ukraine. They are so right. A peaceful Ukraine, a flourishing Ukraine. And because the path of modernization, the path of democracy, is also the path that leads to the European Union, we are at your side and we want to support you in this endeavor. And the same is true for the Western Balkans. Let there be no doubt. Our friends from the Western Balkans are part of our European family. The Danube, the Adriatic and the Balkan Mountains have always been a link, never a border. Our economies are tied together after centuries of trade and travel. So prosperity in the Balkans depends entirely on their integration in the rest of Europe. Most importantly, the people of the Western Balkans overwhelmingly aspire to join the European Union. Yet, we know in recent years progress has been slowed, not least by international actors, including Russia, who seek to undermine democratic institution building and the rule of law. We have, as European Union, a clear strategic interest that all Western Balkan states keep advancing on the path towards European membership. Because Western Balkan stability is European stability, and Western Balkan prosperity is also European prosperity. So, how can we reinvigorate the European perspective for the Western Balkans? I think we must first and foremost push the integration of our economies even further. And that's why we have launched the Economic and Investment Plan of 9 billion euros funding, with the potential of mobilizing more than 20 billion euros of investments for the Western Balkan. All of this is groundwork towards our common future in the European Union. And we must strengthen the credibility of our accession process. We must make sure that every step a country takes towards democracy, the rule of law, and equal rights brings it closer to the European Union. That's why the opening of accession process and negotiations with Albania and North Macedonia was a true milestone. We had set clear conditions for this, and they have delivered. The people and the democracies have delivered. It was a huge democratic success for the people of Albania and North Macedonia, but also for the rest of Europe and for our strategic interests. The best way forward to contrast foreign influence by autocratic countries is to strengthen democracies in Europe. It is about geopolitics, yes, but it is also about our common values. And finally, we must also look beyond Europe and beyond the geopolitics of our immediate neighborhood. The power of democracies, our ability to shape the world of tomorrow, depends greatly on whether we are able to have a growth model and an economic model that works for all. A growth model that is fit for the challenges of this century, starting with climate change and with the digitalization of all economic sectors. There's an urgent need to lay down a material infrastructure of the future world economy, one that is truly sustainable for our planet and that delivers prosperity by the greatest number of people. Because investment and infrastructure continue to shaping the rules of our world, they can promote a free and fair trade instead of financial dependence. They can protect our environment instead of exploitation and polluting. They can build international relations based on trust instead of economic blackmail. And this is why we have put forward Global Gateway. 300 billion euros of investment. This is our approach to big infrastructure projects, value-based, transparent, open to the private sector. Infrastructure that delivers lasting benefits to local communities. And by doing so, we want to show the power of a value-driven investment agenda. We know what investment by other countries can look like. Take, for example, Russia. The price to pay for oil and gas is loss of sovereignty and loss of independence. They don't want partners. They want vassals. And it's not just the Kremlin. Tens of countries are on the brink of default because they cannot pay their debt with China. And a few have already defaulted. The Financial Times calls it emerging Belt and Road debt crisis. Development loans that ignore environmental and social standards, that cut short on risk management and lack transparency, these cannot deliver what countries need. There is a better way. And it is up to us to make it work in all corners of the world. It is not just the future of several countries that hangs by a thread. It is the future of the rules-based order. This is our responsibility as democracies of our days and our age And I want Europe to live up to it for our own sake and for the world's sake. And therefore, thank you for listening. Have a great conference and long live Europe.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and all the speakers. With this, we conclude the opening of the 17th Bled Strategic Forum, and now we are going to continue with the Leaders Panel. And the Leaders Panel is going to be moderated by